Hello everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Women Startup Leader Series. In this series, key female ecosystem players from Bangladesh and beyond will discuss facets of angel investing and all things startup. In this episode, we have Eugenia Shevchenko as speaker and Nirja Rahman, CEO of Bangladesh Angels, as moderator.
Eugenia Shevchenko is the Acceleration and Growth Programs Manager at Seedstars. Seedstars is a global venture capital fund investing in early-stage tech startups in emerging markets with over 50 portfolio companies. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, it operates across Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe, and Asia, with an aim to support changemakers who are passionate about making a difference in emerging and frontier markets through entrepreneurship and technology. We will hear from her on Seedstars' curated programs, the service accelerator that she's helping to run, and portfolio, and creating pathways for exits and follow-on funding, her experience as a female entrepreneur and ecosystem builder, and how they can be better supported from her experience. But Eugenia, welcome to BAN, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting and arranging everything. Super excited.
Yeah, for sure. And likewise, we're quite excited to hear from you. We would like to kind of start each of these firesides with, a simple question, a good way to get to know people. Where did you grow up? And when you were younger, what did you aspire to be?
Oh, this is a good one. I grew up here in Ukraine. I'm currently in Ukraine as well, in a small town on the south in Odessa. Also, let's say from emerging markets. Myself, who I wanted to be a journalist and a pharmacist, which is completely different professions. But yeah, journalist, I always wanted to write about the news and facts and be super aware of everything. And pharmacist, I wanted to have as an entrepreneur, a chain of my own pharmaceutical stations and everything. Yeah. But this is what I was inspired by.
It's interesting. I suppose in some ways you kind of get to combine some of those aspects of those roles too, right? In what you're doing now, talking about startups and also working with a lot of healthcare oriented companies. So that's very cool. And I'm guessing, just like most of us in this room, you're probably a news junkie. So totally get that as well. And then, could you tell us a little bit about your kind of history and how did you end up getting involved with Seedstars?
Yeah, sure. I was joining Seedstars 3 years ago, so I'm quite an oldie in the company. I started my journey, I graduated from International Relations University in Kiev and in Nicosia in Cyprus. And then I decided that I want to do something with a history because international relations all connected, and I joined the Holocaust Memorial Center Fund, and I was working there for 2 years doing the educational programs and international partnerships for the Holocaust Memorial Center, kind of being in the history. And then one day I thought I'm really interested in this topic and we need to remember about the past, but I still want to be kind of advanced and go beyond and with technology and be on the same page with all the entrepreneurs who are living in the moment. They have their new ideas and everything. So I explored this another part, which is startups, ecosystems, and entrepreneurship. And yeah, I don't want to change it for now. I'm super excited. And yes, Seedstars, it's been my, let's say, alma mater. I don't know if we have this word in English. It's kind of the point where I learned about ecosystems. I learned everything by doing, and being in this entrepreneurship environment, you kind of need to be entrepreneur yourself as we walk the talk. And so keep on going with Seedstars, changing the roles. And currently, as we see on this slide, I'm Acceleration and Growth Program Manager at Seedstars.
Excellent. Yeah, and I have noticed that you kind of kid that 3 years makes you an oldie in Seedstars, but everybody I interacted with from Seedstars tends to be quite young, which is cool. I like the energy. of the organization, and we'll talk about what you guys have done in Bangladesh as well. So yeah, maybe I'll kind of show, for the audience kind of a little bit, let's get into a little bit more details for those who might be a bit familiar or not as familiar about Seedstars. Could you tell us about, I guess, the main activities of the organization? It seems like you guys are involved in a lot of capacity building, also investments, and it seems like the focus is frontier and emerging markets.
Absolutely. So Seedstars' mission is to impact people's lives in emerging markets through technology and entrepreneurship. But what we do is basically like two milestones. One is capacity building, where we speak about organizing programs. It can be different stages. It can be for incubation, acceleration, growth stage, and beyond, like different type tailored programs. And we do investments ourselves, and we do have funds that we invest into companies on a early stage in emerging markets. So this kind of two. And then beyond that, like main parts of Seedstars is also hubs, or we call them seed spaces. And we have around 15 seed spaces right now in the world. So it's kind of co-workings and in some places co-livings as well, where we can run our programs and host our entrepreneurs. So yeah, I would say capacity building and investments is the main focus.
Yeah, and I see this, you have this kind of very vibrant community around the world, 250,000 members. And, in the room as well as, and I'm sure listeners, there are people who are entrepreneurs, there's mentors, there's investors, and obviously there's ecosystem developers, who are listening. And so just curious, how do these different types of folks who are all integral as part of a startup ecosystem interact with Seedstars? What do you do with them?
Very good question. And this is our, let's say, main part of our activities network, is to build a network and to connect with the mentors, as you mentioned, entrepreneurs, investors around the world. And what we do in particular, there are different types of activities. So let's say entrepreneurs is more or less clear. We do acceleration programs, we invest in them. We also engage in different activities like podcasts, something digital podcasts, articles. It can be a web series or documentary. We had an amazing one. So this is about entrepreneurs, and we put entrepreneur in the center of all our activities. In terms of mentors, it's also connected to entrepreneurs, but we have a big mentorship hub. And if you are interested, you can actually join. I can follow with the link. It's mentor sign up. For joining this hub, you're going to be just displayed there. And we have an community of 1,500 mentors right now. So just imagine a board, Airtable, where your profile is displayed, and entrepreneurs can go there and look for mentors, like according to the expertise they would like to have, which they have challenges in. And mentors also can apply themselves to the programs. We have paid opportunities, we have unpaid opportunities. Like if there is a program where we have budget, mentors can also participate and kind of apply to mentor over there. So this is about mentors, mentorship hub. Everything is on Airtable. Again, the link I will share. For investors, we always encourage you to join our investor network, and maybe I will put the link in the chat. So by what I mean by joining investor network, you're going to be kept in the loop in terms of initiatives, especially deals. When we have different programs, normally we have demo days in the end. We have also by the end of the growth program demo day. So kind of all these deals and startup pitches, apart from invitation to the demo days, we also share the deal flow with you via email. And you can also specify like which region or which sector are you interested in, and join our investor network. So this is the main part. Also, of course, for ecosystem enablers, we have a lot of opportunities, like, again, digitally, insights. We have the insights website as well, where we provide the market trends, etc. And then you can also always engage with us as let's say, active partner. You can always reach out, and if you have an idea to run a program together, a webinar or something, like, for example, this one initiative right now that I'm speaking, we are also very open to do so and collaborate together.
And I like that, it's sort of a 360 approach, right? And I think that's something we can also take inspiration from as Bangladesh Angels, having, I guess, products or services for the various nodes of, the whole process of, I guess, guiding startups, right? And getting them to scale. And I want to talk a little bit more about, Seedstars International and also your growth programs. Once again, for those who are not familiar in the room, so that's kind of your investment arm, right? And so could you tell us a little bit more about sort of the focus, what stage of companies do you look for when you do look to invest in companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for showing this website, is Seedstars International. We are also investing in startups, and we have around 75 portfolio companies right now. So we started actively investing in 2016, even though Seedstars exists from 2013. I mean, we're already more than 8 years on the market. So about the fund itself, we invest, again, tech-based companies, so they need to have a technology, emerging markets, to be incorporated and run their businesses in emerging markets. And we invest, again, globally in 5 regions: Middle East, Central Eastern Europe, Central Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Let's say the sector, we're sector agnostic in general, but of course we have this focus on impact, and I would even say closer to SDGs. So we look into ed tech companies, agri-tech, health tech, like everything that solves a big problem in emerging markets. So talking about this is our team. We have Charlie, Graham Brown, who's our general partner, VC analysts who are doing the selection criteria and searching for the deals and managing all the analyst part. And John Otwell and myself, we are running the growth program. So now a little bit, if I can, about the growth program. So it's the whole structure is like that. First, we invest in the company, and then first added value is a growth program. So right after investment, we invite this company to join the growth program, which is long of 3 months. It's we're running it virtually. So basically the idea behind is that the money that we invest, they will be like a push for growth, and they will be using this for growing their business with the techniques and methodologies that we offer during the growth program. The entry to the growth program is the same as I was saying about the investing, of course, and one of the requirements is to have not less than $10,000 revenue monthly. So kind of a growth stage startups. That's why it's also a growth program. So we look at the early stage, but they already need to have like the revenue and have users and have and then we will push them with the growth program. The part about the growth program, it's a unique program that we developed at Seedstars. We have webinars, of course, like once a week, and then we have fireside chats. We invite on the same topic of the week different experts who either it's industry leaders or previous serious entrepreneurs or just mentors who are helping also startups on the topic. And one of the main value add is actually mentors. We have a pool of growth mentors who are already like for many years with Seedstars, and they are, I can't say they're trained, but they also like adapted the methodologies that we have, and they're themselves are growth leads in startups or big companies. So they are helping startups on weekly basis to grow their businesses. So this part is one of my favorite, because webinars, some people are listening in generic way, and then the mentor comes and just covers all the specific gaps or challenges that the specific startup has. And then by the end of the program, we run this demo day, which started to be not like as you know, maybe demo days when there are participants and startups are pitching, and virtually is a little bit like not very fun or not very engaging, but we decided to do a kind of in a more scalable way. So we collect videos of the startups and we present it on the web page, kind of creating a landing page for each startup where they have their team displayed, LinkedIn's and everything. And then we're sharing it with investors. So in this way, investors can reach out and talk to startups directly. So yeah, this is just like, I can talk about growth program for ages because it's my diamond, and this is what I'm leading already for the second year. It's batch 8 right now, but I came in batch 7. So yeah, I think I'm stop right here, but if you have any questions about the growth program, super happy to answer anytime.
Yeah, no worries, and thank you for that. And so, you know, for any company, so theoretically, any company in the world can apply to the growth program whenever the applications are rolling. Is that correct? And it would just be through the website, or?
Currently, we don't have the applications open, but we are working on that. But as soon as they are open, everyone will be notified in our network and you will know about it. The next batch, what I can say, the next batch of the growth program is going to be in January, February. So the applications will be open in October and November. So as soon as it's done, again, we will share everything. Yeah, now I don't even have anywhere to lead you.
Oh, good. Oh, good. And we'll stay in touch with about that, obviously. And I guess another question, I thought that number was quite interesting, you know, $10,000 per month kind of recurring revenue, which, you know, particularly for frontier markets, emerging markets, that's pretty substantial, right? It's definitely not an early, you know, or concept stage company. And so, but, you know, is there a particular goal? Let's say, you know, if I come in with a company that's generating $10,000 per month, within those 3 months, you know, is the goal to get me to 20,000, 30,000? You know, is that one of the metrics of success, or?
So just answering your question, maybe in a more generic way. So we do not have stable metric of success, like in general, because companies come, even though they're on a growth stage, they are in a different stage, and there are different B2B, B2C startups. So you can't say that this is going to be their threshold, or this is where we make them achieve. So the first, let's say, lesson that they do is define their North Star metric. And by defining that, it can be whatever, like Airbnb does the number of nights booked or something. So by defining that, then our goal is to double, triple like the North Star metric. So, but we don't have, again, because of the different startups, something like as a bar, and we say like, yeah, this is what we're going to achieve. And quickly, just on a previous point about the growth program and application, we're still open for startups to kind of reach out to us, and investors as well, to recommend the startup. So in case you have, without even being the program open, but you want to recommend, so we can have a look and keep on our radar. So you can always do it to investments@seedstars.com. So feel free to reach out and just share your information about your startup, or investors, if you have a startup to recommend, again, feel free to do so, even though the application is not open. Sorry, this is just about that topic. Yeah, so startups are different, and but what we've seen in the past, there is growth. That's why we are continuing supporting them on that. And one of the major help is actually Mentor, who are helping them.
Got it. In terms of like, it totally makes sense, you know, that obviously the focus on the North Star metric, and every company will have a different one and different targets for those. I guess another question, you know, there's a $50,000 initial investment, you know, I'm guessing that comes from your fund. Obviously it's part services, part cash. Is there kind of a common sort of valuation for these companies, or once again, you're willing to be flexible on each company when they do come through?
Yeah, we are flexible. We are flexible in terms of the valuation and equity. So it's decided case by case. There is no kind of criteria.
Fantastic. Right. And then you know, the companies also throughout the program get these different kinds of service perks, and also, you know, potential for follow-on investments through both Seedstars and its network of investors around the world makes perfect sense. I want to, as we kind of get going, I'd like to, focus on one particular program that you're running as part of Seedstars, and I think that's what we initially connected on, which is the UN Women Care Accelerator. So, once again, for those who are not familiar with this, I think this came about as a direct result of the pandemic. So could you tell us a little bit more about what is this program? What are the goals of the program?
Yeah, so UN Women Care Accelerator is another program that I'm managing, and we are managing this program in partnership with UN Women in Asia Pacific, We Empower Asia, and EU, European Union, and Bob Inc. as a partner. So we are the whole team that are making this accelerator happen. So the goal is to encourage care startups. Again, we're talking about care industry, not about healthcare. So we're trying to shape the care industry as well with the help of this accelerator. So to help startups grow and leverage entrepreneurship with an aim to make those companies more inclusive, and like there are different parts to it, which is helping them on business growth, business models, etc., and on being more gender equal, gender inclusive. So the accelerator itself is the companies from the accelerator are based in Asia Pacific. So we have also a company from Bangladesh as well, Ayat Care. And yeah, you can see on the website, careaccelerator.seedstars.com, all the companies who are participating. There are 13 in the batch, and they are actually in the middle or even getting closer to the end. We kicked off this program in June, July, and yeah, so companies are going through it.
Got it. And so I found that quite interesting that, I think that's one line of the program description is, women on average carry out at least 2.5 times more unpaid household and care work than men. In Asia Pacific, this inequality is even higher, and women and girls spend up to 11 times more of their day on unpaid care work than men and boys. Which is then once again exacerbated during the pandemic because you're doing lockdowns and things like that. So quite interesting, and it does seem like it's a very important and appreciated topic. And so yeah, curious about once again, kind of you mentioned the three key partners. So what is the role of Seedstars? What is the role of BOP Inc? What's the role of We Empower Asia and UN Women?
Yeah, so in simple words, Seedstars is, let's say, acceleration program runner. So we are coordinating the program, we providing the content, we are managing the sessions, and helped also on the application, website building, like all these minor things to shape the program, to kind of give it the framework and everything with the hashtag like coordination and management. This is all about Seedstars. Talking about Bopping, they are the company which also with an aim to empower women, and they are helping us on the content with gender equity parts of the accelerator, meaning we're working together on building the content for those 5 sessions and surveys that startups are going through. So let's say they are helping us to cover this gender equity part. And of course, UN Women, We Empower Asia, and EU, they are our technical partners, and we are always collaborating together on building everything. So let's say in short, this would be the explanation of those partners. Quickly about unpaid care work, I think I'm a little bit slow today, just catching up on what you said before. Indeed, the unpaid care work is a very important topic, which is like not that much addressed. And now, as we've seen in Asia Pacific, it's also a booming topic because like the lack of time and everything brings us to not launching a business or not being able to do so for women, I mean, and we are trying to minimize it with the help of technology at least. And yeah, so this is how
Absolutely, and looking at these kinds of companies, there seems to be a few different kind of business models. So there's obviously, there's ones that kind of focus on training of caregivers, helping them obtain better quality jobs. There's ones obviously focused on elderly care, which is an interesting kind of topic. Also, remote care, once again, kind of during the pandemic. And just curious, for all of these companies, you mentioned Asia Pacific being, one kind of criteria, right? Geography, but are they also, are there criteria around, okay, are they all post-revenue? What stage are they in typically?
Yeah, so this is a very good question. Indeed, they are similar and they're different. Like, first of all, there is diversity in terms of the countries. So we have Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Bangladesh, other countries like Nepal as well. So diversity in terms of countries, diversity especially in terms of elderly and child care as well. So we were looking into models like elderly care, child care, and also, as you mentioned, educating caregivers. But in terms of the criteria to join the accelerator that was mentioned in the beginning, number one is that it I wouldn't say recommendable, but we were looking for women-led startups, but not necessarily. So we were just saying that it would be great if you have women entrepreneurs in a founding team or in at least C-level executives. But again, if not, we were super inclusive, and we even have co-founders who are participating, and they're men, and that was not kind of a barrier that, but we were looking into this criteria as well during the selection. Number two, in terms of the stage of the startups, as you asked, we were accepting entrepreneurs with MVP and that already were close to product market fit or already had product market fit. And also those who had customers or not. So kind of not idea stage. So they already have MVP. And indeed, like for the startups selected here, the majority of them, they are working businesses, they have customers, and they are on a stage of kind of grow and receive investments, hopefully by the end of this program.
Excellent, excellent. And so, yeah, there is a Bangladeshi company, and I know about them a little bit, but maybe for the benefit of those once again in the room and listening, could you tell us a little bit about Ayat Care and what they're doing with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Ayat Care is one of our companies that goes through UN Women Care Accelerator. And they in general, Ayat Care introduced preventive care, which is the first time in Bangladesh that provide caregivers who will be working with you, like with people have a healthy lifestyle, which includes like different physical exercise and mental health, etc. check-ins on your well-being. So this one of the founders or COO, I would say Rahat, he's going through the program. He's participating in all the webinars and mentorship sessions. So he's paired with a great mentor who is a growth hacker, Anuj Adhyaya he was a growth mentor for Sophia AI, and he has his own book for growth experts for dummies, something like that. And he's mentoring on a weekly basis Rahat and the rest of the team who are participating in the Care Accelerator. And everything is going well, and we're currently actually are doing these equity sessions as well, so kind of to make the companies more gender inclusive. And they were working on sexual harassment trainings, etc., to introduce to the caregivers like the policies as well. So we are currently here, but everything is well. The company is growing and everything is under control.
Excellent. And yeah, I do know Nusrat, Aman, and Tasin Bhai and also Rahat quite well. So I'll try to check in with them once I'm back in Dhaka. But and just wanted to also have a discussion around just kind of tying all these threads together and just questions around your reflections, right? Particularly as someone who's, involved in ecosystem building around the world. And obviously in Bangladesh, we're trying to do the same and particularly make it more gender inclusive. So yeah, I mean, one question, right? So working across all these different companies, right? Whether it's through the Care Accelerator, whether it's through Seedstars generally, what specific barriers do you, in your mind, prevent more women-led startups from being funded? And what support, do they need the most?
Oh, this is a very good question. What prevents to get more funding? I think, unfortunately, is a kind of gender bias. And this is that we might not notice, but it exists. That, for example, it's kind of on the top of our minds or of people's minds that men are normally in executives or in a top management or founders, that they will achieve better or something. So this is one of the points which is kind of subconsciously leaves women-led founders a little bit behind. Number two, I think it's maybe also the part of that when the investors are talking, let's say, to female-led startups, they think that it's might be not stable because women have their lifestyle and they might have babies, and now they have this idea and maybe it won't work. So kind of the lifestyle and timeline of women, which is like historically was like that, also creates this sort of gender bias in the minds of men. And this is what prevents. And of course, depending on cultures and education, because in some, of course, countries, it's really either prohibited or lacking education from women's part on entrepreneurship or like financial literacy, all these topics that, that by culture or by religion, they are not able to do so.
Mm. And, on the other side, right, so we're also trying to create more women angels in our network. The numbers kind of stayed relatively stable. It's even as we've grown, it's only kind of hovered around 7-8%. And so that's a question, we're also grappling with. And from your experience, how do we create more female angel investors and investors in general that would get engaged with the ecosystem? What are some challenges for them, I guess, to get involved with startups?
About the how-to, I think there are always like two main milestones is knowledge and network. So I joined like a lot of communities myself, like women in VC, etc. Maybe I'm like, let's say, not investing myself as an analyst or something, but I also join those communities and I always on top of everything. And like for the programs, it's very beneficial. So research on those type of communities that super good. And then for I think, well, knowledge and education, it's always important to see from the both sides. It's not like to educate women how to be angel investors, but also men as well on how to, let's say, perceive the profile of a woman in VC, and which is like a challenging part. But this is the right way to do so, because normally we just focus so much on women or trainings for women and talking about women for women when we leave the rest of the like society behind. And actually this can create the barriers because the rest of the community, or they do not know that these barriers exist.
And thank you for that. And then, another question, because obviously there are balance sheet companies in the Seedstars growth program portfolio. Obviously, you're working with somebody like Ayat as well for the, Care Accelerator. From your perspective, how do we, how do balance sheet companies kind of stand out? What is the story that we can weave to international investors to be able to kind of connect to those ecosystems, or do you find that it's getting easier?
You mean for international investors connect with startups? Or
Bangladeshi startups, yeah. Bangladeshi startups, yeah.
So for international, so just to think from the perspective of entrepreneur, like what needs to be ready, let's say, for the international community of investors, I would say number one is scalable product, which is the product which is tech-based and that can really be scalable, and investors can see that this company can grow and be expanded in other markets. So not only focus on the market that they are building it. Then show the traction, of course. And one of the soft skills, I think it's also English, in terms of that they can communicate properly with international investors. So this is kind of a part for Bangladeshi entrepreneurs in terms of how to connect with them. So I think one of the easiest ways is to go through acceleration programs and join any kind of I'm not saying Seedstars, I'm saying startup boot camps, acceleration programs that are international. And because after each acceleration program or knowledge that they give, there always stands a network behind. If not here, then they will be introduced to someone else. So I think this is the easiest way to connect with international investors. And of course, the power of LinkedIn and different emails. So do not be afraid to reach out. I think this is one of the main rules. If you need something, just ask, and that's it. So yeah, I try to give this fully fledged approach from different perspectives. Hope it's a little bit understandable.
Right, and there's no secret sauce, right? I mean, it's doing a combination of things very well, and it is possible because it's getting increasingly interesting. I think Bangladesh is getting a lot of on a lot of people's radars, especially including this week when Shabab announced the biggest ever Series B funding in the country's history. So could you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing with the SDG program?
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware about the Seedstars World competition that was running every year since 2013, and we were covering 95 countries and running the local events. So we came in a more, let's say, innovative format and in partnership with Financial Times, which is SDG Challenge. And thank you for putting up it on the website. So the SDG Challenge is that we are looking as well for entrepreneurs to apply to it, and in different, as you can see here, in different thematics. If before we were focusing on region specifically, now on regions, countries, now we're focusing on SDGs, meaning and only those 6 currently, then it's going to be different other programs. So for these 6, we have gender equality, climate, quality education, jobs and economic growth, reduced inequalities, and good health and well-being. So we are, and actually it's on, and the application process is in force right now, so you can always apply. So there will be screen of the entrepreneurs, and then we will search for the winners in those themes. And the prizes for startups, as you can see here, also includes different perks and mentorship sessions and free access for the tools that we have partners with. And then there will be a main prize, let's say, for one of the startups, which is a 500K investments from us, and then they will be going through the growth program as well. So this is kind of again, before it was our flagship event, which is Seedstars World. Now we tweaked it to be bigger and more SDGs, let's say, focused, and running this challenge with Financial Times.
Excellent. Any questions? Oh, good. I know it's a Friday evening, Bangladesh time, so I think people might be a little bit tired. But no, but then, if there are no questions, I'm sure people can always get in touch with you via LinkedIn. But I do have kind of one last one, right? So for those who are, some of them are in the room, some of them are going to be listening, many of them aspire to be someone like you, right? Who's an ecosystem leader, in investment, working in investments, working in startup acceleration. For such, I guess, young women, what worked for you, and do you have any pieces of advice?
Yes, I do have maybe even 2, if I may. It's going to be a little bit philosophical, but I have 2 two pieces of advice. Number one is I think there is a question, but number one is learning by doing. Even if you don't know, just rush into it, and it's gonna happen. Maybe first it's gonna be a failure. I don't want to say like fail fast, no, but try it. Just start small. Maybe it's a tool that you're using, or you want to explore the methodology or something that is new for you. Just do, just like, let's say, close your eyes and go into it. The best, what I learned at Seedstars is learning by doing, and then everything will happen even if you don't know. And number two is kind of the stress management. I think this is one of the main points, that even if you are stressed, even if you feel stressed, try to show to other people that you are not stressed. So because I know it's easy to say, and if you're stressed, like maybe it's going to be seen and something, but always try to, maybe meditation will help, but try to keep the face as everything is great and everything as it has to be, even if something goes wrong. So these two pieces of advice are crucial, but philosophical, but crucial in being women ecosystem builder.
I think we can all take that advice. And I think that's very beautiful advice. So thank you for that. So I think we'll kind of wrap it up. But Eugenia, it was a huge pleasure having you. We'd love to stay in touch, try to find ways to work together, especially as we get a women's group or network going within Bangladesh Angels. But really can't thank you enough for your time, and looking forward to doing this again.